Hi, everybody. Welcome to Behavior Bites. My name is Brad.
And I'm Mike, and we're also joined by our producer, Aaron, who's behind the camera.
All right, everybody. Today is our routines portion of our routines and expectations series that we're doing here on Behavior Bites. These two topics get lumped together all the time. And that's kind of for a reason, because even though they're two different things, they are very connected. Routines help out with expectations. That's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and we want to emphasize that these are not just our opinions when we're talking about these particular things. They're trauma sensitive strategies that work really, really well for preschool all the way up through 12th grade and actually beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what this is. If expectations is what I want my kids to do, then routines is how I want them to do it.
Yeah, here's an analogy that I think helps me consider it a little bit. I think of a recipe. So my expectation is I want to eat tater tot casserole. The recipe is the routine. So I follow the steps on that recipe. Maybe I add in some smoked paprika or something really delicious like that, and just following those steps. That would be the routine. Let's go ahead and talk about something that's actually would occur in a school.
Yeah.
How about entering the classroom?
All right, so the first thing I need to identify my expectation and communicate that to my kids, right? My expectation is I want a calm transition into my classroom. Now, to do that, I'm going to have 5 specific routine steps that are going to go into place to teach so that they know exactly what to do. First of all, I want them to enter with a level 0 or 1 voice. I want them to walk directly to their seats. Once they get there, I want them to actually sit down, right? Get all your materials out, ready to go, and then I've always got a bell ringer on my board. Get your bell ringer done. Those are my 5 specific steps that support my expectation of transitioning into my classroom calmly.
Yeah, and why do we do this? Because in those classrooms that are doing this, it provides clarity, it provides predictability, it provides consistency and structure, which your example was a really good example of how that would actually work. So, and another reason why we do this, if we clearly explain how to do things in my classroom, it's much more likely that those things are going to be done well and my class goes smoothly.
Oh, totally. All right, Mike, how would this actually happen?
Okay, so we'll give you a little glimpse behind the scenes of how we created today's video. When we were talking about an example to use here of entering the classroom, here's how we went about that. We started with that a general expectation that's pretty common in schools of being responsible.
Right.
And then we narrowed it down a bit to the specific skill, expectation of a specific skill of entering the classroom. Then we task analyzed that a little bit and kind of envisioned what the perfect student would look like performing that. And we broke it down into specific steps.
Those specific steps. Now, fun fact, when we first came up with these routine steps, we only had 4. And then we had to go back and we had to think, okay, wait a minute. What about that kid that comes in and they walk to their desk, but then they just sort of hang out and talk to their friends? Or they walk up to their desk and they sit on it, right? And then when you redirect them, they're like, oh, well, I was technically at my desk, right? You ever met that kid, Mike?
I've met that kid.
Yeah.
I know that kid.
Right. And so we looked for potential weak spots, right? We found a weak spot in our set of routines, added one more step just to tighten it up, right? We want a limited number of routines in place. You don't want to micromanage, but you want to use high yield strategies, things that are going to most efficiently get your kids to where you want them to be, right?
Yeah. A couple other bits to consider on this. If they start falling apart a little bit, practice. Go back through and practice. Sometimes, a month or 2 into the school year, the routines start to degrade, I guess you could say. It's all right to go back and practice. Practice makes perfect. And another consideration on this is if there's spots in your day that aren't going real smoothly, look at it from a routine perspective. Like, how could I put a routine around this? If you use a lot of collaborative learning in your class and maybe the students aren't getting it, they're not communicating real well, build a routine around that of exactly what it should look like to do those skills.
Yes. Teach the skills that you want to see from your kids. With that, go forth and do good things.